what's up, guys? We're here with Jeff Beeler. He is currently in, where are you at?
I'm in Florida at my house in the living room, so you're probably going to hear dogs barking, wives screaming, and kids screaming, so it's just reality.
All the way down into Keys, right?
In the Florida Keys, yep. They actually have a blockade up, so
Okay.
if you're not a local resident, you can't even get in our county.
Right. That's where a lot of places are right now.
Yes.
So in the next month, 6 weeks or so, you're going to be heading west to Kentucky.
Yes, I was actually there. I took a load of fertilizer up to a farmer on the agriculture side 2 weeks ago.
Right.
And so I stopped by the plant, filled the back of the truck, took a load up there, and worked on the farm up there on the farming side for the cattle and the hay, and then put some food plots in, I guess, 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And I was up there for a week, and I've been home. And so I want to say we're looking at planting, I think, the last week in May on the hemp side.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll probably be up there late teens, I would say, something like that.
Okay. And the hemp side of things is keeping you pretty busy.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
The agricultural side and everything is busy.
Yeah. As you know, we've talked on the phone quite a bit. I'm landlocked. I've been fishing a few days with some friends and doing different things, but spending most of the time on the phone, which has been good on the agriculture side and a little bit on the hunting side, which is good. We talked a lot of hunting today with some guys about food plots.
Right. And I know crops to cattle has been booming.
Yes.
Been very busy with all that.
Yeah, very busy. Yes.
Farmers and ranches.
Good conversations. And I enjoy learning too, Dave. You know, I enjoy learning, and you talk to so many people from so many different walks of life, but they all have the same common goal on the farming side. That's to make more money and spend less.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and the hunting side, you want to have the best results you can have by, attracting deer or growing deer or whatever you're trying to do.
Right. So on the agricultural side, I know this is deer, we've mainly focused on deer hunting on the channel, but for people that don't know, with agriculture, with cows, the cow side of things, pastures and stuff, when you're dealing with that and you're spraying the crops to cattle, which is micronutrients, you also have fertilizer. But on a good pasture, how much weight gain would you expect, on a cow to build each day on a good pasture?
Yeah, sorry, this is actually my phone, so you might get stuff come across the screen. This past year, the farmers averaged a little over 80 pounds, between 80 and 90 pounds per head on sprayed up pasture versus non. On a good pasture, you're looking at 2 to 3 pounds per day on weight gain. On average, you're probably around a pound to two on non-sprayed, just regular. But most of what we do is grass-fed. We believe in as natural as we can keep it. It just, keeping things simple, really.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, they gained 86, 87 pounds a head. But if you could top 2 pounds a day, you're doing really well.
And what was it? Was that on wheat? That was on wheat and oats, right?
Correct. Sprayed wheat and oats. Correct.
Gotcha. So when
if you think about it, a cow's no different. It's a chromosome away from a deer.
Yeah.
In the hay production, you're going to get more bales per acre, round or square bales, either or. And on the feeding pasture, they're locked in a fence. They can't go anywhere. They can't go seek out nutritious food. They're stuck in a fence.
Right.
So you can put the mineral on the ground like you do for the deer and do all that, but that's more of a macro. They don't get the weight gains that they would think of through what they're eating every day, because a cow eats 30, 40 pounds of green growing plants a day in pasture.
Right.
And then it's eating the hay. So if you can have those nutrients in what they're eating 30, 40, 50 pounds a day of, you're going to get a lot better weight gain than you are if you're putting a little bit of mineral out there or a tub.
Right. From actual
same exact minerals. It's just a delivery system.
Yeah. From actual tonnage, green tonnage.
Yeah. Major ton. I mean, if you eat 40 pounds of something a day and all the minerals there that you need,
right,
you're going to put on a lot more weight because it's more digestible.
Oh, for sure. For sure. So when you head back to Kentucky in 6 weeks or so, what's the first step? You guys are going to be,
turning dirt,
planting the hemp.
Yes.
Finishing up food plots, spraying?
Well, we're actually in the early stages of being contacted from another person that wants to grow some.
Right.
But we're doing a thing with a company, and we're growing for them on our farm. So they're priority, and then we'll do that. And then we're actually still doing the deer hunting side on the private farms in Kentucky. And we actually got a new customer, not a new customer, but a new piece of property from the same customer in Mississippi.
Yep.
So we'll be doing that. But priority is the hemp for the CBD and the CBG. And then we'll get that going and get it in the ground. And then we'll go do some wildlife side. And I mean, as far as from about the middle of May through October, there's no days off. And then we're still doing, selling products, our biggest game.
Yeah.
We're still doing the business side.
But if people still need to get you for questions and product and consulting,
24/7
pasture.
I was on the phone last night at 10 o'clock.
Yeah.
Farmers call all hours of the day and night.
Yeah, I don't know many companies that will answer the phone at 10 o'clock at night.
No. Well, there was a guy last Sunday that called at 8:30 at night. And just, he was in shock that we answered the phone. I said, hey, we're no different than you.
Right.
We live, eat, and breathe this stuff. It's all we do.
Yep.
And, a farmer works 24/7. People in the hunting community, they're used to the 9 to 5, Monday through Friday. Maybe somebody's going to answer the phone. Maybe somebody isn't. They're not going to talk to anybody that knows anything anyways.
Right, exactly.
And they're just in shock when they call and they actually talk to somebody. And
that's good customer service. A lot of times
you don't answer the phone because you're on another phone call, but you call them back almost immediately.
Right.
And, and you'll be talking to somebody like today. We're talking to people about, doing thousands of acres on the cattle side. And then you got a guy that's calling about his half-acre food plot the next phone call.
Right,
so
exactly.
You got to get versed in what you're doing.
Yeah, never know who's calling.
No, you don't. That's the truth.
So,
yeah, I like your shirt, by the way.
Thanks. You like that?
Yeah, I do. I like the logo.
Yeah, just got them done.
Yep. I need to get a haircut. I haven't had a haircut in like 3 months.
I know. You can't go nowhere to get one.
I can't go anywhere.
I know.
I won't let my wife touch it because she'll probably start right here at the neck.
Yeah, and you'll be left with a strip down the center with a mohawk.
I'll have no head left.
Yeah, there you go. So with all that said, Kentucky, hemp, all, going strong. I want to talk about some common food plot mistakes that food plotters make and throw in some tips in there to actually help people have a better result this season, because each year more and more people are getting the food plots. But with that, there's more failures that I see, especially on Facebook. You get all them groups and stuff, and people just they're confused with things. And
well, I'm going to tell you this, Dave. I had a phone call today from a guy, an email, a phone call, and I think I even sent you a snapshot of some of his email.
Yes.
And we talked to the phone for a good hour. His family's in the agriculture business. They grow things for a living. And when it comes to food plots, he was stumped.
Right.
And I'm scratching my head going, okay, you grow stuff for a living. It's no different. It's agriculture. You're just farming for wildlife.
Right.
You got to get your pH right. That's number one. Number two, he was saying that you don't need any nitrogen for clovers. And that's one of the biggest misconceptions out there is you need a good fertility base to get anything to grow.
Right.
Nitrogen, those plants can't create their own nitrogen until they're 2 months old.
Yeah, until they create
nodules. Where they got the nodules on there, right? So the problem is people he's planted food plots, clovers, and fail because he didn't use any fertility. He's like, oh no, it doesn't need, I'm looking at the soil sample, like you need X amount of this, and this. I said you can cut back on it, absolutely. But I said, even in the beans, he said, well, we use nitrogen in beans to get them up and out of the ground. I said, well, clover's no different. He said, well, I watched the video and I watched this person say this person say that. And I told him the best thing for him to do is quit watching all these forums, watching all these videos on people that don't know what they're saying, because it's agriculture. They're saying it's non-agriculture when it is agriculture.
Yeah.
He already knows the answers, but he gets confused when he listens to somebody on the hunting side because he's being bamboozled, to be honest with you.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Man, we were just talking about this earlier. How does a clover seed, when you toss it out, produce its own nitrogen when it's just a seed?
That's correct.
It's got to grow.
Well, I gave him a good example, and this kind of makes sense. You know, you and I both trying to speak reality and what's going on from our hearts. You know, not trying to sell anything or anything. Just trying to help people out that are getting the short end of the stick. But I told him, I said, this is a good analogy. I said, when you were born, did your mom nurse you along until you're able to walk on your own, talk on your own, feed on your own, do everything on your own? Or is she just, you're born and you're laying there in a crib and that's it, see you later?
Right.
Well, a seed is no different.
Yeah.
A plant is no different. You have to nurse it along until it's able to take care of itself. And there you go. There's a nitrogen fixing plant for you. You have to nurse it until it's able to take care of itself.
Yeah, for sure. And it doesn't actually do that until it creates those nodules.
Yes.
And actually, when you mow it, if I'm correct, when you mow it, those nodules will actually release the nitrogen.
That's correct.
Yeah.
That was one of the things I was telling him. I said, because he was worried about weed suppression. I said, we'll put more seed per acre. It's that simple.
Right.
And I said, that's one. Two, the most, the biggest thing that's overlooked is a neutral soil is the best weed suppression you can have.
Yes.
We don't use herbicides. You know that. We don't use herbicides. I'd rather go turn a crop in and replant it because it's too weedy than to go in there and kill it. Now, I did tell him that some natural stuff, we use vinegar and water solutions on certain places. But other than that, we just turn and burn is what we call it. We turn the weeds in, we lime, we fertilize, we do all that. We turn the weeds in and we plant.
Yeah.
And that's a green compost, and that's a sponge that holds the moisture under the soil so the soil can hold moisture, which gives it to the seed from the bottom. So even if you don't have any rain, that seed stuff's going to germinate from the dew in the morning and the sponge underneath of it.
Yep. Yeah. Well, that's the other thing too. Two things. But if you buy a bag of seed, like a mix, a variety, a lot of those seeds are different sizes. So when you broadcast it, you have to open it to the largest seed. So if the bag says it covers a half acre, in reality, it really doesn't.
No.
And it doesn't compensate for birds and some that doesn't germinate. So then when you spread that on a half acre, all of a sudden it grows and you're left with sprigs every 6 feet because you didn't have enough seed.
Right.
And that's a failure.
Right. Absolutely. We always say, okay, a couple of good examples is there's some great companies out there. I don't mean to bash anybody to say anything, but all the seed comes from the same area, same grower, same everything, and then it gets private labeled throughout the thing, right? And there's some great companies out there to do some extra stuff. They put, inoculants on there. They do this. They do different things. They do good stuff. But we just use ag seed. We don't buy anything else other than regular old seed you buy at your feed store and all that. And we put a little bit more per acre. There's two reasons we do that. One, it's cheaper.
Yep.
Two, we're getting more seed. If you go put an inoculant on a seed, you've just increased the size of that seed, so you're getting less seed count per bag.
Yeah.
For more money.
Right.
You're still not going to have 100% germination no matter what you throw out there.
Right.
It ain't going to happen.
Yep.
So we use the cheaper stuff that we can use. It's still great seed because it's the same exact seed. And we just put more per acre. Because we're foliar feeding. We granular feed always when we plant. But other than that, we just foliar feed everything. So we're able to have more plants per square foot. And that's like the ferminator. We talked about this the other day. We believe in that because you're getting 100% coverage rather than a no-till drill where, you save 50% of the seed. Okay, but the problem is in the wildlife side, you're only covering 50% of the ground. Right. That's why you're saving 50% of the seed. If you're not row cropping for harvest and you're doing it for wildlife, I don't care what you're planting, broadcasting is better than row cropping.
Yeah.
Because of the weed suppression, one. Two, you're covering all the ground and you're trying to have as much tonnage as you can in the smallest area possible.
Exactly. If the funniest thing I've seen was a video on YouTube where somebody was planting brassicas with a no-till drill.
Yes.
And it didn't make sense to me. I'm like, why? What's the purpose of that?
There's simple tips. For instance, say you have a 1 acre food plot, and you go ahead, you got your pH right, and you go in there and you fertilize and you plant your seed, you drag it, or however you want to do it. You use the compact or whatever you want to do. Well, at the end of the day, what we do is we mix 5, 10, 15 pounds, depending on what we're doing, of turnips, brassicas with a 50-pound bag of fertilizer. And then we put the thing on where it just goes that, and we do the whole thing with that. So you're over top of it. And those seeds are so small. It's like pepper seed. Yeah. It's going to grow, and you get a very, very good way if you're using a mechanical like we do on the four-wheelers or the tractors or something. And then you can go over there and you can hand spread too, with the Earthway, that red bag, which does very well. But I got to keep the gross figure, so I use the mechanics,
Yeah. I mean, it's just, there's the other thing too with the weed part is, no chemicals,
Yeah.
But in the spring and summer, having some weeds isn't a problem.
No.
People end up with a lot of weeds in the fall because they plant too early.
That's it. Depending on where you are in the country, you can't go by what says on here on the, because you're going to have somebody buy the same bag of seed in Florida, in New York, in Alabama, in Georgia, because it all says the same, and it has a broad spectrum of when to plant. Because it doesn't have exact time. It has a shade that gives you a month's time.
Right.
If you just go by a rule of thumb, say 4 to 6 weeks before frost, you're not going to have any weeds. I don't care what you do. I don't care if you don't even do anything.
Right.
The weeds are going to die off in the winter.
Oh, yeah.
But the problem is they plant too early. The plants get too big, and they get unpalatable. So now hunting season rolls around. They got nothing. They're going to eat them as a last resort instead of ice cream like it's intended to be.
Yeah, that's a lot of question. That's like a number one question that's been coming up is people will say, well, when do I plant this or when do I plant that? What date do I plant this? And you can't go by dates. You go by temperature.
Yes.
Just like in the spring, if you're planting clover, you can frost seed it, but things like buckwheat and soybeans and things like that need heat. So you can't say like, hey, May 15th, plant. You look at the weather, you look at the forecast, you got rain coming, you got warm temps, no chance of frost, then you can plant.
Right. Well, like everybody that lives where they live knows their area better than anybody else, right?
Yeah.
So for here in Florida, we can get away with a little bit earlier.
Mm-hmm.
But say in Kentucky, we're not going to plant beans or hemp or anything on that until at least the last week in May, because do we have a frost in the middle of May every year? No, but traditionally you do.
Yeah.
So you're going to lose your whole crop. And when you're planting for wildlife and for cash crop, you can't afford to fail.
No, definitely.
When you're doing this for other people, which is all we do for other people,
you can't fail.
Failure's not an exception.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to we go by that date, but then we go by, okay, what's the rain forecast? What's this? What's that? Which we start off with, okay, we're not planting before this date. Or we're not planting in the fall, we're not planting after this date. So sometime here in the next 2 weeks, in this time frame, because we got, 4 weeks, 5 weeks, 6 weeks, 7 weeks before frost on normal. In some places it's Halloween, some places it's November. It just depends. Some places it's in, late September, early October.
Yeah.
But you can't go by each year's not the same, obviously. I wish it was, but
I wish.
It's, it's farming. People don't forget that. People say ag is bad. Ag ain't bad. Ag is what keeps everything going, including you and I.
Yeah.
Well, food plots are agriculture. You're farming for wildlife.
Right.
Then you have the browse, which is way underrated, and then you got everything else along with it. But if you're planting a food plot, you're a farmer.
Yeah, you're farming. I mean, without green,
yes.
you got nothing.
Yeah, the turkeys, everything thrives off of green. Everything.
Yep.
You and I wouldn't be alive today if there wasn't anything green.
Yeah.
Because even the meat that we eat is eating the green, the salad, everything else. It's a chain reaction.
Oh yeah, for sure. So antler growth side of things, what's going on? Busy?
Semi-busy.
Semi-busy.
As far as product wise, a lot of people, well, I'll give you a good example. On the hunting side, we deal with the 1%ers.
Mm-hmm.
On the agriculture side, we deal with the 100%ers.
Right.
Everybody needs to grow something. Well, on the farming, on the wildlife side, on the antler growth side, people don't think of deer until almost deer season.
Right.
Now, 99%. Now, 1% of them think about it year round. If you did a true thing, obviously I'm just throwing numbers out there, but you can tell on the antler growth side, the conversation, the sales, and the talk of hunting increases immensely late July, early August.
Mm-hmm.
When they start getting those, velvet pictures and they do this, and they do that, and you're like, oh man, I better think about this. But a lot of people don't do anything until a month before hunting season. I better go throw a food plot in. Let me go do this. And then if they were to start a little bit earlier, it would save them money. They'd have a better end game. And we like to have something year round, as many months as we can anyways, because you're creating a routine. You and I know where we're going to get something for supper. We're going home. Where does a deer feel the safest? On the same place, doing the same thing. He's got a routine.
Yep.
And I want all the deer. I don't want just a couple.
Yeah, I want all of them too.
I want all of them.
I don't want them to go
for those, the yearlings. I want them all.
Yeah. So, what's your opinion on the trade show side of things? Because I know our last adventure at the Great American Outdoor Show was a lot different than it has been in the past years with attendance and all that stuff. And now you got all this virus
thing going. Yeah.
How do you think people are going to react to that coming into trade season next year and all that stuff?
Well, you got a couple things going. One, we've been doing trade shows with the different brands for a long time. I mean, one year we did over 30 trade shows. We've knocked that way down over the last handful of years. We've just done the Harrisburg show this year, like you were saying. And it was kind of funny, and you were there a lot of those days, where if 10 people walked up, 9 of them would talk agriculture, 1 of them would talk hunting.
It would, yeah.
And agriculture outdid the sales at the show.
Yeah.
And we had a lot of people that we see every year, and I'm very grateful for that, because we have great conversations. There's some cool dudes out there we really enjoy hanging out with. And we had doing that. But as far as business point of view, it makes no sense to me anymore. The numbers have gone down on the trade shows.
Mm-hmm.
The buying online is much higher. And the prices at trade shows, not us, because us, we're transparent as we can be. We're $20 off a gallon at the show and online during that show for honoring a show special.
Right.
But you personally went out and bought something that you could have bought cheaper online at the trade show. You personally.
Yep.
So imagine, a family of 4 going in there buying tickets, buying, parking,
food,
and then getting a sandwich or some other activities. They're spending $300 or $400 just to go hang out at the show.
Right.
And then they're paying more for a product, not all the way across the board. I'm not throwing everybody under the bus, but in a lot of cases, they're paying more for something. Well, just the booth next to us was charging more than you could buy it online.
Yes.
Remember, we Googled that just to see what it was. They were charging more there, and it says show special.
It was a lot.
I could go on and on and on for days, but I think between the virus thing and the uncertainty of what's going to happen, I think you're going to see trade shows. They're already dying. The ATA, all the other shows. I mean, the attendance is down by leaps and bounds.
Oh, yeah.
This year, the Great American Outdoor Show is a great show. But half the first quarter of the gun hall was food space.
Yeah.
Before it was all guns.
Yep.
And empty spaces everywhere. And then we did some shows down here in Florida that I told my wife went with me this past summer, and this was last year. And my wife and daughter went with me. And we said, we're going to give everybody that walks up, that talks to us, we're going to give them a 4-ounce bottle of Antler Grow, just for hanging out and talking to us for 5 minutes, whether they buy anything or not. I gave 1 4-ounce bottle away in 2.5 days that came and talked to us. Yep. And that guy actually bought a gallon. He walked up to buy a gallon because he knew who we were and wanted to talk shop, and we still gave him a 4-ounce bottle. So we didn't give a single thing away and talk to a single person, other person that already knew we were there.
Right.
That's sad.
Oh, yeah. Well, the tides have turned with that, especially the Harrisburg show, is where it went from hunters to farmers.
That and people just going there to kill time.
Yeah.
They're just going in there and they walk around. They don't buy a single thing. They go in there and kill time, have a sandwich, and it's more of a hangout.
Yeah.
And it's a great show. It really is a great show. But it's a sign of the times, and we have some good friends and that very well, that because of this virus, their whole business relies on trade shows.
Mm-hmm.
Their entire business relies on trade shows. Well, now they're redoing everything because they paid all the money to do the trade shows. They paid for the booth space. They can't get the money back from the booth space. They say they're going to just reapply it to the next show. Well, who knows when that show is going to be or if it's going to happen.
Right.
So they got ripped off $40,000, $50,000, $60,000 for something, for a different trade. That's not one show. I'm talking about many shows for their booth space. And now they're reconstructing their whole company around internet sales.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, it's killed everybody from the top to the bottom. You know, this whole pandemic thing, you know, that's a whole different thing. But, you know, I'm fortunate that the agriculture side's still going. And I really enjoy seeing the Facebook posts, Instagram posts of people out there turkey hunting or shed hunting or doing this or doing that. And still, you know, still minding their P's and Q's with all the government stuff going on.
Oh, yeah, for sure. So before we close this out, give everybody a quick tip with food plots and antler grow. How can antler grow benefit?
Wait, you want to know the tip of the day, Dave?
I want to know the tip of the day.
Don't bet on the slow horse.
Don't bet on the slow horse?
On the slow horse. If you're at the races, don't bet on the slow horse. That's the tip of the day.
What do you call a deer with no eyes?
No idea.
No idea.
No idea. What do you call a deer with no eyes, no legs?
Still have no idea.
Still no idea.
No idea.
Yep, no idea. So, okay, go ahead. What's the question?
Give everybody a tip with how can antler grow, because we're talking about hunting. How can antler grow benefit that person? How can it benefit their food plot? Give a summary.
A summary. All right. Well, the micronutrition, which is antler grow, is 100% mineral.
Okay.
It was intended back in the day when we started doing this for nothing more than plant growth. By adding the sticker to it, which used to be a whole different ballgame than what it is today, because we started off as a water soluble, a granular water soluble. So we had to physically add a sticker and surfactant to it, so the same mineral will be stuck to the plant, just like a mineral on the ground, but they're eating on what they're eating already, so you're benefiting the plant growth, is why we started using the micronutrients.
Mm-hmm.
And then we made a jacked up formula and got with the scientists to make a jacked up formula and put the sticker and surfactant in on the building process. So now that we can spray the browse, the food plots, everything. So we're not only boosting the plant growth, but that same mineral stuck to the outside and the plants absorb. So it's a double-edged sword.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to change the way you do things and the way your wildlife reacts on your property and hold more deer and grow more deer, or turkeys or any wildlife for that matter, you spray it. And for cents and a dollar, you can cover serious acreage, and the long-term effects are immense. People that were spraying for the first time last year, blackberry bushes, and all these different things,
right,
they're like, oh man, this stuff is awesome. Wait till you talk to them this year, because we already know what it does year after year after year after year.
Mm-hmm.
It keeps boosting everything, and they're gonna be just blown away this year by what happened from what they did last year. They think it all happened yesterday.
Yep.
But it's like anything, it takes time. You know, there's no Viagra for anything you're gonna do. There's no instant gratification.
Yep.
We did a greenhouse the other day. Bunch of greenhouses actually up in Kentucky. We sprayed.
Yep.
And we used a 1/2 ounce per gallon, just lightly misted, from tomato plants, anything you could possibly think of in a greenhouse. They do it for a living.
Mm-hmm.
And they called a week later, and they're blown away by the leaps and bounds that they normally did what they do. And we sprayed half a tomato row. The other half's already twice the size.
Right.
And then all their plants, everything. I mean, the other day they sold $10,000 worth of plants, and the customers were absolutely blown away by what was going on. I mean, the people that are making money are saving money on the front end and making more on the back end because they didn't spend as much to get there. You know, and all we do is try and make it available to anybody from any size. You know, a lot of people ask us all the time, hey, how come you don't have a 4-ounce bottle anymore? The main reason is because it's not fair to the customer. You're paying X amount of dollars for a 4-ounce bottle. When, if you break it down, you know as well as I do, somebody will buy 3 or 4 or 5 4-ounce bottles. They could have bought a gallon instead of 12, 14 ounces, and they spent the same exact amount of money.
Yeah.
So to save them money, gallons is the smallest we do, because they don't realize what they're getting for that dollar until they've used it.
Well, we had that, well, not an issue, but we had that when you were selling the 4-ounce bottles a couple of years ago. We had the guy complaining that he couldn't buy them anymore, and he was buying 3 or 4 of them.
That's correct.
For $20 a piece. And we're like, dude, you do realize they're $20
You just bought a gallon.
that you could pay for a gallon plus.
Yes.
And
like our fertilizers, our foiler fertilizers, they have a shelf life.
Yeah.
About 6 months.
Yeah.
Our micronutrition package does not.
Mm-hmm.
Neither one of them freeze, neither one of them do anything. But to be transparent, we don't put any dye at all in our fertilizer or our micronutrients. It is what it is. It's straight. There's nothing hidden in there. And so it's crystal clear. What happens is over about 4, 5, 6 months, it starts to turn a little bit of color. That is the reason people put dyes in their products, is so that it can sit on the shelf for 4, 5, 6 years, and you don't know that anything's happened.
Right.
Well, that's why we say about 6 months on our foliar fertilizer, our NPK, and we make private batches for people on different analysis. But the 513A has been the go-to across the entire spectrum. That's been our best. And then we were talking about that today. In our NPK, we put sugar, just a little bit of sugar. It's water soluble sugar. It's in there. It's all in a heat process, so it spreads out. But that sugar is a carbohydrate, which boosts the plant health. That's why so many people that use our NPK are like, man, this stuff really is work. I can't believe on a 513.8 I'm getting the greenery and the growth boost out of this that I'm seeing. And they don't realize that the sugar's in there, which is a carbohydrate, which gives it that oomph. You know, like you and I having a Snickers bar or something. We got, you know, a 5-hour energy. You get that little shot of growth real quick, and it lasts for a long time because the plants actually absorb it. It's not stuck to the outside.
Right. Perfect. Well, sounds good. Thanks for your time.
Anything else?
I think we're good. If anybody has any questions, they can get a hold of you, call, email, send a note, whatever a bird, bird can get you.
Smoke signals.
Smoke signals, whatever. How can they get you?
You can reach us at antlergrow@gmail.com.
Okay.
And if you go on there, that's actually that phone number goes right to me.
Okay.
You can call the office, but they're not going to talk redneck. And
they can call you at 1 a.m., right?
Well, the phone's on airplane mode after about 10.
Okay. All right. So they got till 10.
But they can leave a message. Hey, I like the background.
I like it.
Yeah. That's from the trade show in Harrisburg this year.
Yeah. You're standing, you're sitting underneath my buck.
Yes, that is your buck. Yes.
It's on the wall behind this curtain here.
Right here.
Yeah.
Nope, right there.
Yep. That's it.
Yep.
Awesome. Well, I'm signing off. You guys have any questions about the video, post them down below, subscribe. And Jeff's the man when it comes to antler grow. Asking questions, call him. Agricultural side is booming. And he'll help you out on that end as well.
All right, Dave. We'll see you later, bud.
See you.